What do you all think? What do you all think? It looks like we got exactly, well, we don't know the specifics yet, but what I've been talking about, what we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks, months on this show. YouTube.com/Richard Taylor TV. We've been talking about specifically exactly what happened today. Exactly what happened today. Exactly. To the exact point, what we've been talking about. We're going to go over some of the details. We don't know all the details yet, okay, about the new version of Final Cut. We don't know what they are. So we are going to find out. My name is Richard Taylor, in case you didn't know that. We are going to find out exactly, well, not exactly. We're going to find out over the next couple of days, months, weeks, whatever, exactly what's going on. I'm going to check my audio real quick. Okay, it sounds fine. I've been adjusting my audio, my microphone, and my interface. And when I listen to it in my headphones to adjust it, sounds one way. And I play it back, it sounds another way. Sometimes a live stream, they do compression, Facebook, YouTube and stuff, so it doesn't, I have to adjust for what it's going to be on Facebook and YouTube rather than what it's really like. Okay, let's see here. So we're going to go through some of these comments real quick. Everybody's excited. I saw someone mentioning on Twitter you need to be working on 10.5.1 to find the 10.6 update. I saw that as well. But 10.5.1, you mean the... On Final Cut 10.5.1, it's up to 10.5.4. Or do you mean the OS? There's our friend Ian Anderson. Cool stuff, Richard. Thanks for stopping in here, Ian. We're going to check out all kinds of things. We got all kinds of things we're going to talk about. We've got a lot of people here today. So if for people that are new here, this is the place to come. This is FCP TV Live, Final Cut Pro TV Live, that we do all of this constant updating. When something like this happens, we come right on. Let me just pull this up real quick. Copy. And I'm going to duplicate that. And let me pull this up instead. I'll put this up there. For people that don't know, save. Here we go. This is FCP TV Live. This is FCP TV Live. So listen, we have so much to talk about. Final Cut Pro 10.6 was announced today. Logic 10.7 was announced today. Now I want to show you one thing first before we move on. Here we go. Today. So Logic, I put this article out a couple weeks ago or last week or the week before, and I've been talking about the countdown to Final Cut Pro 10.6 for a while. So Logic, I put this article out. I kept saying it was going to be 10.6. I want to show you one thing. So here we go. Here's one of the things I want to point out to you that I'm glad about for a while. So speaking of Logic, I kept perhaps a new version of Logic as well. Logic 10.7. Here's one of the things I want to point out to you. That's exactly what came out. A new version of Logic, and it was 10.7. So we talked about this a couple weeks ago in this article. So some people were saying it's not going to come out until the Creative Summit. One of the things that I want to talk about specifically is I kept saying this in the article. I mentioned in the article. This right here. In October 2016 at the Apple event that introduced a brand new 15-inch MacBook Pro, we also got Final Cut Pro 10.3. Brand new full point update to Final Cut Pro in October at an Apple event for the new MacBook Pro. They did the exact same thing this time. October, Apple event, new MacBook Pro. They showed us a new version of Final Cut Pro 10.6. In 2016, it was 10.3. I kept saying those stars are sure aligning to be exactly the right time to introduce a new version of Final Cut Pro. Here's the backyard, just checking in on that for a second. Here's my desktop for those, physical desktop, for people that want to see it. There's the live stream there on my iPhone 13 Pro Max. So I ordered my MacBook Pro already, my MacBook Pro. Who wants to see the specs? Let's go. Let me just put up a few more comments here. Super cool. Christopher says, do I need to buy an M1 Pro or Max book to get the most out of Final Cut Pro 10.6? It looks like it. To get the most. I think they're going to still be supporting Intel, as they normally do. Ripple Training has a What's New in Final Cut Pro 10.6 video out. I expected them to have that out. Extremely interesting. So it says, how about that update? You can't be impressed with that. I'm not. The power window section for color work is, well, I don't know all the features yet. I'm still looking. So let's just check here. I have these bookmarked. Well, let me just check here for a second. So let's go here, web page, release notes. It's still on, let's see if it updates. No, it's still on 10.5.4, and what's new in Final Cut Pro is still on 10.5.3, and what is this? Oh, that's just my favorites bar. I don't care about that. So 10.5.3, close that one down. So you can reset, if you have a trial Final Cut Pro, you can reset it for 90 days again, something like that. I think anyway, that's the way it goes. So Garrett, you say you need OS X 10.5.1, but my OS is 10.15.7. So what is 10.5.1? I don't understand. 10.5.1. What is OS X 10.5.1? We're at 10.15.7. So Ian Anderson says, my favorite part of the new book recommendations on the Final Cut Pro resource page. But you, Ian, you have to update your book now to 10.6, right? 10.6, right? I missed it, so I didn't hear the new info. What's the word? The word is Final Cut Pro has been updated to 10.6. Final Cut Pro and Logic Pro updated with powerful new features and unprecedented performance on the all-new MacBook Pro with M1 Pro and M1 Max. So Final Cut Pro has been updated to 10.6. 10.6. Logic's been updated to 10.7, which I called last week. I said, what about Logic 10.7? 10.6, 10.7. Now, I don't know what's going on. If there's got to be more features than a couple of the features that they've talked about so far, don't you think? Yeah. So nothing besides tracking feature. What's the excitement about? I don't know. There's got to be more than the tracking feature, right? That's fine. People have been asking for that, but there's got to be more than just that. No indication if Dolby Atmos audio master and Logic will properly transfer to Final Cut. Overlapping audio. Not sure what that means. Oh, I know what that was. I'm sorry. Yeah, I had the Intel Pro Max. We don't know what it means for Intel Pro Max yet. We don't know what it means for Intel Pro Max yet. So let me just turn that down, Everything's muted. Please share. I'm going to show you my specs that I ordered in just a minute. Do I need 64 gigabytes for real? No, you don't. 32, I think you can get 32. Our friend Jasper. PostLab was also updated to support Final Cut Pro 10.6. That's fantastic. Right on the ball. Ordered the 16-inch M1 Max, tricked out, but only 4 terabyte storage, getting $2,500 for a trade-in of 2019 MacBook Pro. Let me see what this is. This is the update, yes. Cinematic mode editor and the tracker seem to be the two big things. It better have more than that. Ian Anderson said he'll be updating his book very soon. Sorry, that was a typo. You need to be minimal on 11.5.1 for 10 on Mac OS 11.5.1 for Final Cut Pro 10.6. So I'm on Oh, 11. Okay, 11. So that's Big Sur. It had to be on Big Sur in order to get it. I went on my MacBook Pro, which is on Big Sur, and I still didn't see the update. Unfortunately, I think it's just the cinematic editing mode and the tracking feature. Listen, it's got to be more than that. If that's all they offered in 10.6, why even bother calling it 10.6? There's got to be more to the story. I haven't seen the update, what's new in Final Cut Pro yet. It hasn't been updated. I sure hope there's more. Alex Gollner said it best, another update that fits into a tweet. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Hope this is not a repeat of 10.5, which was this big. That would really aggravate me. I know that's for a fact. They better have more in the 10.6 than just that, or maybe 10.6.1. They're going to add the features back. There's got to be more than just those two keynote features. That would be ridiculous. Now, they may have done the 10.6 thing to coincide with the new MacBook Pros, and they'll be adding the features coming up. If they don't, I mean, the tracking feature is pretty big by itself, but that's nothing that it's not on my top 10 list. It may be others, but it's not on my top 10 list. So let me go over here and pull this up. I'm going to show you what I ordered. Let me just do a couple of things here. Okay, here we go. Let me pull this over here. Now I'm going to pull up the graphics page. Let me see where the graphics page is. Videos, web page. And let me pull this up. So let me see if I can pull this up. Here we go. So this is my Mac. This is what I ordered. Well, first off, let me just pull this up. First off, Thunderbolt 4 ports. This is the first Mac with Thunderbolt 4 ports. Not Thunderbolt 3 USB 4, 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports. So they got Thunderbolt 4 on the M1 chip. HDMI port, excellent. That takes up one of the Thunderbolt ports normally. SDXC card slot, excellent. MagSafe 3 port. Keyboard. I got 64 gigabytes unified memory. Apple M1 Max chip with 10 core, 32 core, 16 core, blah, blah, blah. I got the 2 terabyte storage. I have 1 terabyte. I got my current 2019 MacBook Pro has 1 terabyte, and I've gotten along fine with that, so I upgraded to 2 terabytes, which is what I have in my Mac Pro right now. I have a 2 terabyte SSD. So here's interesting, 120 watt USB power adapter. Now the current MacBook Pros they're 90 watts, and this is supposed to be more power efficient from what I understand, but it's 140 watts. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on there. And of course they give you the free software. So that's what I ordered. Came out to like $4,200, something like that. I get 3% back because I use the Apple card to pay for it. Listen, I hope they add features, but I like the way say this every year, more to come, but they just trickle features out super slow. I agree. I absolutely agree with that. There's got to be more to 10.6 than these couple of features that are, the tracking is fine. That's pretty advanced, but that's, I think it's dependent on the M1 chip. Am I not correct with that? If you go to pre-installed software on the order, there's a new info for Final Cut Pro under Logic. Learn more. Well, we already know what's going on there. Web page. Let me get rid of this. So here's the web page. Here's the web page. There's got to be more. Final Cut Pro 10.6. There's got to be more than this. If it comes out in 10.6.1, that's fine. If it comes out, Logic comes out with stuff, they've got to have more than just two key features. They've got to. Motion compressor, yes, yes, yes. Logic Pro 10.7. I don't recall anybody else talking about Logic Pro 10.7, but we talked about it on this show and in my article. Oh, there we go. So in the article here, I specifically talk about Logic Pro right here, right down here. Speaking of Logic, perhaps a new version of Logic as well, 10.7. So I called that out a couple weeks ago. No big deal. There's a lot we're going to be finding out, I think, in the next couple of days. When is the particle engine going to be updated in Motion? I don't know. They have to know that the Final Cut Pro community has been wanting seriously more than this. Absolutely. Absolutely. This is what I'm hoping. I'm hoping this version of 10.6 is to coincide with the release of the M1 Max and M1 Pro chip MacBook Pros. They wanted to put out a version to coincide with that, and we're going to get features more than 10.5. 10.5 was ridiculous. 10.5 was just they had a little bit of something, I don't know, they did the proxy thing where you can do different things if you copy your library. I forget what it was. For Macs, for Intel Macs. Here we are. Final Cut Pro. Look, it's dark already. So let's hear what you think. Who's going to order one? Eric says they want us to switch to LumaFusion on iPad. Yeah, LumaFusion's doing a great job. They're doing a fantastic job. So what do we think? I mean, listen, there's got to be more than what they've shown us. There's absolutely got to be more than what they've shown us. If this is it, I don't know if I will do my new project in Final Cut Pro. I may jump to Resolve, but that would be disappointing. Andrea said, do you think they updated the blade tool icon again? I don't know. I haven't been able to update it yet. They've updated it 3 times. So let's go over here. Let's do this live. So I'm going to switch this over to the App Store. So let's do this live, okay? Final Cut Pro, it still says open. Still says open, open. Oh, that's right. I can't update it on this one because I'm not on Big Sur. My laptop is on Big Sur. You got to be on Big Sur in order to find this update. So that's one of the things. So I'm sincerely hoping that, let me pull this back up. I'm sincerely hoping that the new M1 MacBooks only require Big Sur and not Mojave. No, not much. It's Mojave? No, it's whatever the new one is. I'd love to order one. It's the beast, the Max. What a computer. Yes, I agree. I agree. Tracking was introduced by Motion VFX, and Apple just stole the idea. 2 years behind DaVinci. Not going to disagree with that. I'm waiting on the 27-inch, 30-inch iMac update. I don't be the most powerful laptop. I have an M1 MacBook Air and love it. There you go. So, yeah, I have a 2019 15-inch MacBook Pro, not even the 16-inch, that my girlfriend's been using, and she wants to buy that. So I'll take that money and put it towards my cost was $4,200, I think, for the spec, the one. Let me just pull this up. I'll take that money, graphics, and put it towards my back up over here. My cost was $4,200, I think, for the spec, the one. Let me just pull this up. I'll take that money. Graphics, so here's my towards my back up over here. My cost was $4,200, I think, for the spec. The one. Let me just pull this up. Pull that out of there. I'll take that money. So here's my towards my back up. Here's my version. My cost was $4,200, I think. What I've got. And I needed one anyway, and I only got the 2 terabyte storage option. I don't need the 4. I'll get it. Here's my version. I'm curious about the 140 watt USB power. And I needed one anyway. I got the M1 Max chip, 10 core. I only got the 2 terabyte storage option. I don't 16 core neural engine, I'll get 64 gigabyte universal memory. I'm curious about the 140 watt. I just wanted it. I needed it. I don't need. I mean, I don't need it, but I. Since my girlfriend wants to buy the other one, I'll sell it to her. Yeah, playing in the background. What audio is playing in the background? I have everything muted. Let me listen to it and see what's going on here. Hold on one second. Let me check my audio. All right, I'm not hearing the audio in the background. I'm not hearing it. I have everything muted. Whenever I have the browser open, but I have everything muted. I have system audio. Okay, let me do this. Okay, thanks. It was when I shared the audio is fine. Happens when you pull up another screen. Got it. But here's the thing. Everything is muted. I have everything muted except for my microphone. So I'm not sure why, even when I pulled up the screen, why it would be. But I'm not doubting it because everybody was saying it. It was spatial audio. There you go. It was spatial audio. Andres, you're coming out with some clever lines today, my friend. Very funny. So who else is going to be ordering one of the new Mac Pros? I mean, one of the new Pro Macs, the MacBook Pros. I wouldn't get it. The features that the 10.6 that I've seen so far, that's not the reason I'm getting I ordered the MacBook Pro. But if I get, I keep hearing something. What's next going on here? So I hear it, some kind of audio. Well, anyway, if you hear it again, let me know. I think the MacBook Pro Max is the only computer you'll ever need, especially with the HDMI port. It's hard to think of a bad thing about it apart from the price. Well, the price is always the same. You're always going to pay the Apple Premium, right? You're always going to pay the Apple Premium, no matter what. Let me just check over here. Thank you. Audio is still fine. That's great. So I'm in the market for a Mac Pro anyway. Damien says, not sure which one to choose, 14 versus 16. I want the 16. I have a hard, listen, I have a hard time dealing with a 14-inch screen, and the reason is this. This is my screen right now, what I'm looking at. Okay? This is my screen, what I'm looking at right now. So let me just, so there we are there, but the audio's turned down. See, the audio's turned down right there. But this is my screen that I'm working on, 34 inches, 34-inch screen. I can't get that down to 14. I can barely get it down to 16, but I can deal with it. If the 16 is what it looks like it's going to be with all the great, pizzazz, I'll probably bring that into my upstairs studio and take this Mac Pro and put it downstairs in my recording studio because it has all the PCI slots. So, in any event, we are going to be here. YouTube.com/RichardTaylorTV is the best place to go. So subscribe, go over there and subscribe, hit the notification. Why did you choose the Pro and not the Max, Richard? Well, I did choose the Max. Right? I did choose the Max, didn't I? Yeah, I did. If not, I'll cancel. I did choose the Max. Apple M1 Max chip. Of course I would get the Max. Absolutely. Don't scare me, Torgrim. You, I had to go double check. I may hang on to my 16 gigabyte MacBook Pro until next year or next update. I think it's going to be a while before the new MacBook Pros will be updated, I believe, anyway. So anyway, subscribe up here. Go up here, youtube.com/RichardTaylorTV, and subscribe. We're going to be back on the rest of this week talking about the Final Cut Pro update as we find out more. Craig says using the term Max makes things confusing. It certainly does. I have an M1 Mac versus I have an M1 Max. Sounds similar. Yes. Not only that, but at the WWDC, when they uploaded keywords, it was the M1X MacBook Pro. M1X MacBook Pro. Yeah, I got everything top tier, except I don't need an 8 terabyte SSD. I'm not going to be storing that much stuff on the SSD. I'll plug in a little, Thunderbolt RAID or whatever, something portable. But I'm still curious, can somebody explain this to me? Okay? The current MacBook Pro is 90 watts charging, 90 watts. The new one, it says 140 watt USB-C graphics. So the new one says 140 watt USB-C. Let me pull this out of there. So there we go. So the new one says 140 watt, but I thought that tell me what's going on here. I thought that the new ones require less power, right? The M1 chips require less power. So why is it 140 watt power source, 140 watt USB-C power adapter? I thought it would be less, considering that it's supposed to be more efficient. At least maybe I'm misunderstanding something. I'm not sure. I missed the battery life info. What did they claim for battery life? More than the than the 2020? Or the 20, no, more than the 2016. It's more battery life than the 2016. Oh, you know what? Hold on a second. There, I'm still in live demo mode. Sorry about that. Somebody, I was showing you the demo. I just looked at that. The new MacBook Pros have fast charging. Is that why? Tell me, is that why it's 140 watt? Ah, okay. Okay, there's two good points. You need more power for fast charging. Great explanation. Thank you, Gert. Thank you. And Grand Production says the same thing. First Apple laptop to have it. Fantastic. So what about this? What about this now? This has, what is the charging on this? 96 watts, it says, on this new OWC charger I just got. So is that, I guess the question I have, is this going to be able to take over and power other things through these ports? Thunderbolt, these are Thunderbolt 4 ports. Thunderbolt 4. Is this going to be with 96 watts of power? It actually has a power adapter right here. Are these going to be able to use this 96 watts of power and not draw from the MacBook Pro? That's what I'm hoping. It's Ethernet, and these are USB 3.2, so that's great. So faster charging speed. Thank you. You guys are great. I didn't know, I didn't understand what that was. That makes complete sense why it's 140 watts. 30 minutes to 50%, which is fantastic. That's sufficient for a working situation, not for fast charging. But I'm wondering, I guess what I'm wondering is, let me just turn my speaker off because my cell phone's playing music through it or something. I guess what the issue is, if I plug that in to my new MacBook Pro, the MacBook Pro, I'm presuming, is going to use the MagSafe 140 watt charger. So if I plug things into this, I'll now have, instead of 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports, I'll have this one will plug into the Mac. Let me pull that back up here. This one, I presume, will plug into the MacBook Pro. This is the one with the power. And then I'll have 3 more. So 3 more Thunderbolt 4 ports, powered Thunderbolt 4 ports, and then 3 3.2 USB ports as well. So I think this is still going to be usable, right? Hopefully. I just bought it. It's brand new. I hope so. The MacBook Pro will draw its power from the MagSafe. That's right. So all the rumors that we heard about the MacBook Pro are true. HDMI, card slot, and MagSafe. And 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports. They're not Thunderbolt 3 ports like the M1s are now. Thunderbolt 4. Apple specifically says that. Thunderbolt 4. All right? So let's go. Listen, there better be more in 10.6 than what they showed us. Let me just check on this. See if they've released anything yet. Nope. They have not. So we got a comment, hub should be good. Did they mention whether it's a standard SD slot or would be UHS-2? They said it was an SDXC card slot. SDXC. What does that mean? Eric Emmerich says you're in FCPX featureless denial. Repeat after me. There will never be a standard audio mixer. Oh, it won't be standard. But I know they have an audio mixer. They've had it for about a year or so. I can't tell you how I know, but I know that. It's not a standard one, but it's going to be an audio mixer, absolutely. Listen, I don't want to see a repeat of 10.5. We've already seen it, 10.6. The three features in this don't require 10.6 moniker. They could have been 10.5.5. They did the 10.6 to coincide with the new MacBook Pros. Now we got to listen. Got to give them a little more leeway to see what they do with 10.6.1. Speeds of Thunderbolt 4 is the same as Thunderbolt 3. I understand that. I knew that from a while back. But still, why would you go with Thunderbolt 3 when Thunderbolt 4 is available? That never made sense to me. Why would you do that? It's the newest one. The problem was, since Apple's using their Apple Silicon chips, Thunderbolt 4 requires an Intel chip, from what I heard before. So do they have an Intel chip on there now? Somewhere in the MacBook Pro? Sorry, I meant a standard SD card reader, not the faster UHS-2. I don't know UHS-2 versus SDXC card slot. Don't know. Hopefully it's a faster one. Mine's not coming until, let me see. Mine's not coming until for 4 weeks. They're saying 4 weeks. 4 weeks. But it's got 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports. HDMI. I use HDMI all the time. Card slot, MagSafe 3, keyboard, blah, blah, blah. Got rid of the fancy picture keyboard. They got back to the regular numeric keyboard. So we're going to be back here again. UHS-2 can support speeds up to 300 megabits a second. Hopefully it's what it is. I have Big Sur 11.6, still only 10.5.4, no updates. That's what I'm seeing as well on my MacBook Pro, which is, let me just check something here real quick. Okay, audio sounds fine. Thank God the touch bar is gone. I didn't use it that much. I just rarely used it. I did like the full-length Final Cut Pro timeline that was available on there, right? Do I think all the new features in Final Cut Pro run on Intel Macs? No, I do not. I do not think all the features. I didn't expect that going forward, that the M1 Macs, if they didn't have anything special, why would anybody update to them? Speed, obviously. But no, I don't think all the features are going to run on Intel Macs, but some of them should be. Maybe a little bit slower, but they certainly should be running on Intel Macs since that's the majority of Final Cut Pro users. The Mac Pro that I have, 2019 Mac Pro, this new version, this new MacBook Pro that I got is about half the price, $4,200 I think I paid, and then I get, so one of the things I get back, one of the things is I get back, let me just pull this Thunderbolt 3, I understand that, I knew that from a while back, but it's still, why would you go with Thunderbolt 3 when Thunderbolt 4 is available? That never made sense. Pay for your products overtime, interest free. They give you 1 year. The problem was the payments were The problem was $350 since Apple's using their Apple Silicon chips. You get 3% back. Requires 3% cash back from what I heard before for using. So do they have an Intel chip Apple on there now? Somewhere in the MacBook Pro? 3% cash back for the Apple Card. Did you cover the new watch folder feature in Compressor? Now, let me tell you a little story about that. If you've watched these FCP TV Live for any length of time, let me just pull this up here. For any length of time, you would have heard about the watch folder feature in Compressor on an earlier show. Not going to tell you which one it was. Double audio again. Okay. I don't know where the double audio is coming from. Sorry. I thought I had it. Oh, you know what? I know where it's coming from. Hold on one second. Let me... Sorry about that. I think it should be gone now. Tell me if it's gone now. It should be gone now, I think. It's weird that I didn't have, everything's muted, but tell me if the audio is back. It's good now. So, no, one of the problem with the audio that I didn't check was the audio. I have some kind of an audio thing, and it was going through Ecamm Live, which is the software that I'm using, and I don't have a tab in my audio sound level. See, if you look here, live demo mode, if you look right below me, there's a tab for my iPhone, for Scarlett, for movie. Everything is muted, but there's no tab for Ecamm Live, and it was going through system audio was going through Ecamm Live, which has no control there. That's kind of weird. I think that's it. The guys at Ripple Training have a video out for new Final Cut features. Yes, I saw that. Good. It's gone now. Thank you. Pull up a second video source. Good to go, Richard. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Good audio. Yeah, that's weird. That's weird that I don't, since everything was muted, I thought it was killing it, but apparently not. But anyway, let me just make sure that I have, it's there, it's off. Here, it's off. So we'll find out. I love the touch bar, really useful for typing and moving things through the timeline and changing settings and logic. Sad it has gone. It's only gone in the new version. If you have the old version, it's still there. They didn't release that. So, very, very interesting. Very interesting. Anyway, So my MacBook Pro, the new one, is coming in. It's saying right now 4 weeks, 4 to 5 weeks. So they said that about my 13-inch iPhone. I mean, my iPhone 13 Pro Max as well. It came 2 weeks earlier than what they initially anticipated. So I'm going to presume that's going to be exactly the same with this. So I'll get it sometime in, what is today? October the 18th, probably like early November. Probably early November. Plus, that gives me time if I want to change my mind. I can change my mind. That's the other issue, but I don't think I will. I think I'll do exactly what I think I'll be keeping it because it looks like a fantastic machine. Now, what about the Mac Mini Pro? Where is that? Are they going to have a third event? Is Apple going to have a third event? They might. They might have another November event with the Mac Mini Pro, and what else would they introduce? Well, they're not going to introduce Final Cut Pro. That came out today. So maybe since today's the 18th, the Creative Summit is in 3 weeks. Which one did you go with? Well, let me just show you. Let me show you. I went with this one. 64 gigabytes unified memory, 32 core GPU, 16-inch, 2 terabyte SSD. This is what I ordered. It's like $4,200. Not cheap, but is that unusual? No, it's not unusual at all. It's expected every time there's a Mac Pro, a new Mac Pro, MacBook Pro, a new Mac, a new iPhone. They're expensive. Always have been. Sunset. Sun is setting. This is my new coffee that I've got. It's Mocha Java, Arabian Mocha Java, something from Pete's Coffee out of Washington State. It's my new favorite flavor. We'll see. So Craig says, I doubt it. No more events. Yeah, I don't think so either. But just they can just announce the Mac Mini Pro with a press release, right? Because if the MacBook Pro is out, this is for the Christmas buying season. This is out a month earlier than they released the Apple Silicon Macs last year. A month earlier for the Christmas buying season. So it's crazy. You can get 8 terabytes of storage. Yes, it is. So then listen, the next big thing we have coming up is the next thing we have coming up is the Creative Summit. Let me just pull this up. So here we go, web page. So the next big thing we have coming up is the Global Summit. Free. It's free this year. Free. Sign up for free. Apple Day. Apple will be showing us more, I'm sure. Maybe they'll show us some new features forthcoming in Final Cut Pro 10.6.1. That would be fantastic. Anyway, everybody, Torgrim says, so the official name of your new machine is MacBook Pro with Apple M1 Max. It's an awful lot. Max, M-A-C-S versus M-A-X. It's a little confusing, I agree. So did you enjoy the event and the Final Cut update, or were you expecting more? Well, this was not a Final Cut event. Now remember that. This was a MacBook Pro event. As far as a MacBook Pro event, yes. Yes. I thought it hit everything that I wanted. HDMI port, MagSafe, card slot, 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports. Yes. Fast charging. Great. The M1 Max chip and the M1 Pro chips, if depending which one you want. Yes. As far as a MacBook Pro event, yes. It was fantastic. I'm not sure why Tim Cook was standing in a grassy field. I'm not sure what that was about. That doesn't, usually he's inside the Apple campus. That wasn't that attractive. I think that wasn't that attractive a look. If I was a producer, I would have said, no, let's take you inside. Let's get you out of this grass. There's ticks and stuff in the grass. Get the heck out of the grass. So that wasn't that impressive, but yes. And also was short, wasn't it? It was condensed. But the chips look fantastic. The M1 Pro and the M1 Max chips look fantastic. See what they go in the Mac Mini. I need a laptop right now in case I do any on-site work. We'll have to see. Did I enjoy the event? Yes, not for Final Cut Pro, because even though we talked about seeing a version of Final Cut Pro 10.6, we talked about it here on the show in FCP TV Live, we haven't seen, there's only a couple of 2 or 3 features so far that they've talked about. Let me just check and see if they've updated. They have not. They have not updated yet. So let's just check there. Nope, not yet. So some of the features are going to be forthcoming, hopefully. Hopefully there's going to be more. One of the things I'm glad about, so far, Final Cut only requires Big Sur, which I'm just starting to get into because we're going to have to. I hope they don't require Monterey. The fact that they're out today, they didn't even mention Monterey. They didn't even mention Monterey at this event. No mention, did they? About an update, about it coming out of beta? I didn't hear anything about that. Good. Good. Big Sur has enough problems. I don't want to add problems on top of Big Sur with Monterey. There's audio plugins that still don't work. There's a couple of other apps I have that don't work in Big Sur yet. Let them get that sorted out before they switch over to Monterey. So I hope, well, Final Cut doesn't need Monterey. They've already said this needs Big Sur. I hope the MacBooks Pros don't require Monterey. I hope they just require Big Sur and ship with Big Sur. I can deal with that for a while. Very short event. Did you enjoy the gig from the garage at the start? Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. Maybe there'll be a new version of Final Cut Pro designed for touchscreens, and that's what they're waiting for. Ripple mentioned you have to have Monterey to use cinematic editing. Really? You have to have Monterey to do cinematic editing. So features are going to be staggered. Intel, M1, M1 Pro, M1 Max, Big Sur, Monterey, Final Cut Pro 5.4, Final Cut Pro 10.6. They're getting a whole bunch of tiers here for things that are being like, does this work on this and this and this and this? What about the sound support on the 16? I would think you would always monitor the bands on headphones. I always have a separate sound unit. I have two right here. I have Apollo Twin X. This is my Apollo Twin X. This is where my microphone is going into. And I'm taking analog out of this and going into this Scarlett, which is running my system sound. I think that's where part of my problem was earlier. So one of the reasons is mute. When I mute this, you can see the levels were still going up when I muted it because this mute button does not mute the microphone. It mutes my monitoring. So when I press this button, it mutes it going into here. When is Monterey out? Did they even mention Monterey today coming out? I didn't hear it. Did they mention Monterey at all? I thought they'd be releasing it today. I'm glad they didn't. I want my MacBook Pro to work on Big Sur. I really do. I want it to be running on Big Sur when I get it. Who knows what they're going to be doing? Steve Martin also mentioned this in his Facebook group on his post. Okay, well, I'm not getting Monterey right now. I'm just not, unless the MacBook Pro comes with Monterey, I'm not going to be running Monterey. I just updated the Big Sur. Here we go. It says it comes out next Monday. Monterey comes out next Monday, which probably means the MacBook Pro is going to be on Monterey. Oh, according to Mac Rumors. Okay. 25th of October. Okay. Coming out. So that means the MacBook Pros are going to be running Monterey. I'm not going to have any choice with the MacBook Pro. It looks like I'll have to deal with that, whatever. So what do y'all think? 10.6 has a couple of, well, one big feature. The tracking has got to be a big one. I'm looking for more than that, Apple. Listen, we need more than that. This is all you're giving us for these major full-blown updates. It's ridiculous. Other NLEs are running circles around you if that's all you're doing. You got to give us something 10.6.1 then, and maybe at the summit they'll preview it, hopefully, fingers crossed. The last two summits have not had major Final Cut Pro updates. This time they might be going for the Steve Jobs Theater. Still no update there, huh? Nope. So we have this Final Cut Pro User's Guide, Table of Contents, what's new, still says 10.5.3. Creative Summit. So let's see. Apple Day is November the 12th, live from Apple Park. As I've talked about, we talked about in this article a week or two or so ago, Countdown to Final Cut Pro 10.6. Talked about this. I compared 2021 to 2016. I think I found the problem with the audio. When I switched scenes, the audio wasn't muted. That's probably why you were hearing double audio. Sorry for that. Alexander says, I think M1 Pro and M1 Max will require Monterey because this new Mac is full of optimized for M1 systems. That's Eric suggested but not mentioned Monterey exactly. Since Monterey's coming out on next Monday, I suspect you're absolutely correct. if it ships with Monterey, I'll have to deal with it, obviously. Amazing hardware, switching to Resolve for post-production now, though LOL, I already switched between the two and I'll probably continue to do that. Listen, if Final Cut Pro 10.6 only has these two features and that's all they have, I will be using Resolve some of the time, more than I am right now. Resolve has many more features and is updated a lot more. Hopefully they are rather optimized for these new Mac Pros, etc. But I'm not going to say, oh, I'm going to quit Final Cut Pro. No, that's not going to happen. I can use both. But if I find a job that benefits from Resolve, or use Resolve, let's wait to see. I'm always I'm the eternal Final Cut Pro optimist. I absolutely admit that. I know I am. Let's see, number one, for the Creative Summit, to see what they talk about. Number two, let's see what Final Cut Pro 10.6.1 happens. They've released features, big feature updates, and a point update. This is a point update. Let's see what happens with the point update. And even if they don't release everything, I will come on and we'll talk about it. I'm going to be using Resolve more. Okay, I will. I'm not going to abandon Final Cut. I have how many years in Final Cut? Lots. And I still like it, so we'll see what happens. Tracking is incredible good news, especially for those using motion special effects. When is the event and time for the Apple presentation? Let's go find out there. Let's go find out. Here is the, that's interesting. So they had a schedule up. Let me see where it says. It says Apple Park is November the 12th. Oh, let's go here. Program 2021. Here we go. So this is what we got here. Mobile first. They do mobile section, profession of production, big picture, and Apple. Friday, November the 12th. Keynote panel. International Encore. Daily opening is 11:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. It looks like Apple session 1 is 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight, and Apple session 2 is 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight. Now, I don't know if this is the same. Apple session B is the same as Apple session A and repeated for a different time zone. I don't know. Oh, here we go. Here's the encores. Apple A and Apple B short break. This is the International Encore set 10 p.m. Eastern Daylight. So I don't know for a fact. But anyway, it looks like it's going to start. Apple session is 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight. That's what it looks like to me. What do you think? We'll see. Let's see how this moves forward. I'm still excited about getting the MacBook Pro, right? I certainly am. I certainly am. So what do y'all think? We'll come back on as we find out more this week. I'll make an announcement or two. What you have to do is subscribe over there at youtube.com Richard Taylor TV to be automatically notified when we're going live. Maybe we'll come back on tomorrow if we get more information about 10.6. We'll have to see how that works. It's funny, Resolve and Premiere got more airtime today with the interviews from the reps. Yeah, it is peculiar. We'll have to see how that goes going forward. Very peculiar sometimes. Apple does weird things. But don't forget to subscribe. Go over there at youtube.com Richard Taylor TV and subscribe, and that way you'll be notified whenever we go live. All right? Thanks a lot for tuning in, everyone. Do we have anything else to talk about for today? There's actually not. Okay, here's my grading. For the Apple event, for the MacBook Pro, for the M1 Pro and the M1 Max chips, I give it an A. Not for the presentation. This was not the best presentation that they've done. I did not think that Tim Cook should have been standing out in a field of grass. That, to me, if I was in charge of that production, I would have said, no, that's not where you belong. You belong inside the campus. Besides that, the presentation was fine. I'm excited about the MacBook. I'm more excited about the MacBook than I am about Final Cut Pro 10.6 at this point. Let's see when they update things. You should update to 10.6 live. Update is out. So if you're on Final Cut, let's see what this does for me. Open. And I'm still. Here we go. Yeah, it says requires. Yeah. So right there, let me pull this up. Right there it says requires macOS 10.11.5.1 or later. But the weird thing is, so I'll go ahead and download it and play with it a little bit, see what's going on. There's a lot to find out. There's a lot of questions, aren't there? There's a lot of questions going on here. 10.6 has to be more than that, than what they've shown us so far. Let's wait and see how that works. Anyway, everyone, I'm going to head out of here for today. I have dinner waiting. If you subscribe over there at youtube.com/Richard Taylor TV, you'll be notified whenever we go live. We will be going live a few more times this week, maybe tomorrow. So subscribe over there and you'll be notified when we're going live. You can also go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/groups/Final Cut Pro Radio TV, I think it is now, because I do both the radio show and TV. Andre says, Object Tracker and Cinematic Mode are it. That's disappointing for Final Cut Pro 10.6. We'll have to see. Until Final Cut Friday. Yeah, we'll see if we do a Final Cut Friday this week. Have to see. Anyway, everyone, I appreciate you're all the best. I really appreciate you coming on, hanging out with us today, and we will